Hey guys, what's up? I got everybody here from TMI. Don't forget to write us an email at tmipodcast2018. That's tmipodcast2018 at gmail.com. Let us know how we're doing. Also,
follow us on Twitter at TMI_podcast 2018. Just use the numbers, don't spell it out.
Ooh, don't forget Facebook.com/TMI podcast 2018.
Follow us on the Apple Podcast app. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review.
All you YouTubers out there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, TMI Podcast 2018. Look for the popcorn bucket.
That's right. Also, check us out on Spotify and a Google Play Music app for all you Android users. Follow us and subscribe everywhere. We appreciate it. We're doing it for you guys, the fans. Thank you.
The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Dave Odinson Warhowski, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, Mike Mjolnir Evans, and Danielle, that's what she said, Warhowski. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Hey. So, to start the show, I'm going to hand it over here to Jeff. Jeff, some sad news.
I just wanted to, sad news out of Hollywood as we start today, that Vern Troyer, better known as Mini-Me, has passed away. And I just wanted to kind of bring that up and make mention of it because I think he brought a little joy to all of our lives. And in the immortal words of Dr. Evil, he completed me.
That's right.
Yes, and for anybody who is a fan of The Surreal Life, I just always have that mental image of him peeing in the corner. Oh, you
I did watch that.
Will know
that. He will be missed.
That's terrible.
So sad.
It seems like it really seems like to start this year, like, you know, the Grim Reaper's going around, you know, door to door.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, so many people recently, famous names and everything like that going away, and it's sad, but anyways, the show must go on, so they say. So let's get this started. What were you gonna say?
On it should go.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm just
where to start. So
we're all here this week.
We are all here this week.
Mike and Danielle are joining us.
Hi.
Hello, I am back from London.
Welcome.
You sound like you're calling from London in a telephone booth.
Telephone box.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, the vernacular I did not get.
So I mean, I guess that's a stupid question because we all watched the season finale of The Walking Dead, I think.
Yes, we did.
Safe to say, we all did.
At least we were supposed to.
Yes.
That was the homework assignment.
Who wants to start this one?
I think this is right up Jim's alley.
Last week we were kind of going over The Walking Dead, and we had mentioned that it was probably in the best interest of the show that Rick kill off Negan. As much as we love Negan, it was kind of like we needed this as a viewer, some kind of an
closure,
like Rick. Closure didn't happen. So you may be disappointed by that. I kind of was. It kind of felt like they wanted to keep just Negan on the show just because they know he's very popular with the viewers. Popular with me, he's popular with us. But I felt like they had to end it, and now it's just kind of an open-ended thing.
Yeah, it was after last week's discussion. I felt the same way that it had to go down the way it did not go down. And I think you said that in the comics, it kind of plays out like this, that he becomes part of the group. But I do find it interesting that, you know, this Carl's vision, this future vision, they've really kind of played with it all season long. And you're now seeing it come to fruition. Obviously, Maggie and Jesus are not too happy about this. But my question is, in those little snippets where we saw the future happy little utopia, did Negan only have 3 fingers? Because didn't his fingers get blown off?
Interesting.
I just
Was it his fingers or was it just his hand? Like I thought
he went full JPP.
Like
I thought it was just a wounded hand.
Yeah, like I thought it was just like a
Oh,
hole in his
really?
hand
All
or
right, maybe I
something,
just
you know?
misinterpreted. I thought he was down 2 fingers there.
But it seems to me they sacrificed Carl to keep Negan. Like that was the only way that Rick would keep him alive, that he would hesitate before killing him because of Carl. So that it felt like that to me. Like they had to find a way to justify to keep Negan on the show, and that's how they did it.
Right.
I just don't get Carl's an literally for 3 seasons. And now he dies, and everyone just loves him and wants to live out his dream. Like,
That's the way it goes, though. You know, once someone's dead, then you kind of forget all about, you know, the past damage. And
he was literally only a nice person for like the last 2 episodes before he died.
This is true. He was like annoying Carl.
Yeah, he was like a
getting everybody
bratty,
in, you know,
bratty
getting everybody
person, not listening to anything his dad said, and all of a sudden he's on his
Well, he was a
deathbed,
typical
and
teenager.
he becomes Shakespeare and writes everyone a freaking letter, and now
they
they're all
were lovely soliloquies.
idolizing
He
him.
did have a way with the word.
I don't know. This whole
But
show
he
pisses
lost
me
an
off.
eye and he gained perspective.
That is so well put. That's beautiful.
But the
That
thing
should be on his tombstone.
I mean, like the thing everyone thought, at least I did, was when Rick sliced his throat. You thought, okay, ain't nobody living from this. Like the dude
Right, yeah.
slit his
Patch him up.
throat, you know, and with like
Yeah.
a piece of glass, and like you just see the blood start coming down Negan's neck, and Negan just drops, and I was like, holy cow,
I
that's it.
recall saying he's still alive.
Yeah. But then Rick says, "Save him,"
Save him.
as if
Yeah.
he's got a crack team of doctors that can, you know, just
Correct.
zip him right up.
Well, he had like a mash unit there because Carl saved the doctor.
Yeah.
Rick just cut him enough to not
So-
bleed him out.
So here's my question now, and that is, who is going to be the next villain? And this was my take on it. Is I think Maggie.
Jesus.
Yep, Maggie, Jesus, and Daryl. All of them were totally against keeping Negan alive, obviously for their own personal reasons and whatnot. I think you might see the group turn on each other.
I agree. I
Like a
absolutely
Walking Dead
agree. I
Civil
think they
War.
completely set that up.
Right, like the look on Maggie's face in that last scene, they showed her sitting there when everyone was coming in, and like Daryl was like, "I'm in," you know, and like like all that, like she had just the evil look on her face, and
It's the
So-
pregnancy
so-
hormones from the belly bump that will never form.
well,
So listen, so if that's the case, which team are you on? Are you on the Rick and Michonne team or the Daryl, Jesus, and Maggie team?
It's Civil War all over again.
interesting. That is a good question, Mike.
Yeah, I think I would go on the team of Maggie, Jesus, and Daryl, just because I would want to see this Negan storyline end and for them to get on with
Well, he's
something.
gotta. I mean, you saw her. I mean, she was like, he killed Glenn. You have to get rid of him. You can't trust this guy. And I understand. I get. You know, friggin' Rick is like, oh, we gotta be better than this, and this is what Carl wanted. He should have gone.
Although Rick's philosophy with this goes, you know, right up Jesus's alley, yet mysteriously he's siding with Maggie and
Right.
Daryl to kill him. After he tells, you know, Morgan, like, you know, we don't kill people.
Right.
He's like, kill him.
Don't
By
use
him.
the pointy
that
end of the
seemed
stick.
like that was very forced with that character.
I guess we'll have to wait to find out.
That's interesting.
I do have a question though, which has not been properly answered. So if you go back two episodes ago, when the trash lady had Negan all tied up there,
Yeah.
and he was being
Helicopter.
the sacrificial lamb,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden this military helicopter shows up out of nowhere,
What is that about?
turns around and goes away, and she's screaming, "Wait, wait, wait!" Like that just kind of like went by the wayside, and it's like, what did I just see? Who?
It was the film crew.
He got too. It's like the equivalent of the boom mic coming down during the shot. The
You
helicopter.
remember though, in the second season, the same thing happened.
Right.
And that was just kind of, it turns out it was just for the purpose of moving the herd out of the city and to overrun the farm at the end of the second season. They kind of explained like the zombies follow things mindlessly.
Mhm.
But it looked like it came purposely into her vicinity. She knew it was coming. Like she was like
she was trying to set
all
it up
ready to
with
be
the
picked
flare.
up. She was like Richard Dreyfuss waiting to go back with the aliens. See how I tied in those episodes?
That was good.
Yes, very good.
You like that? You like that?
Yeah, segues. I love it.
Segues.
What did you guys think about Eugene? I mean, were you seeing that coming, or were you like speculating on it?
You know what? That's funny you mentioned that, because you wanted him to do something, and he's just been like this spineless jellyfish from day one. He's made no bones about the fact that he's just a wussy who's looking to stay out of the way.
Right.
How he was able to manufacture these bullets, because they were testing them, right? At some point you saw them firing these during the season. So how is it that he was able to manipulate which ones malfunctioned at the exact moment they needed to malfunction?
It was how he started making them the way, what's his name? The priest there.
He was another.
Yeah. No, but the way he made them, the back end of the bullet stuck out and it wasn't flush like it was supposed to be. So because it stuck out, it malfunctioned. So Eugene started making Gabriel. Yeah, so Eugene started making them that way with his plan. But let me tell you, he sold it though. Like I was sold on like Eugene's dedication and everything to Negan. Like I was just
do
like
whatever it takes to survive. Yeah. Whatever. I'm changing that. I have no
that whole scene with Rosita. That kind of cemented it. Like, he's not coming back from the dark side.
No.
But that was actually my favorite part of the finale was Eugene. Was that revelation,
kind of that little redemption
at the end. Yeah, I like that because I would have missed his character if they got rid of him.
My favorite part was sort of when Daryl came out of the shadows when Maggie was talking to Jesus.
He's like, I'm in. With that greasy hair all over his face.
Yeah, very much symbolic of Daryl's place in the show. He's now coming out of the shadows because he's been kind of relegated to the background.
Right, which we mentioned last week on the podcast about that too, about saying how Daryl's only became mostly just another normal character, not anything special like he was before.
Yeah, and even Carol's kind of taken a step back. So we'll see.
So it'll be an interesting one.
Mm-hmm. So I think that it was kind of, they didn't give you the ending of the Negan story as promised. That was my feeling.
No,
it just continues.
Definitely not.
It's probably Terminus all over again, where they end it thinking, you're entering into this whole new storyline. Then Terminus was literally like an episode.
Right. Yeah, maybe, or like the governor, like the comeback of the governor when he stormed the prison and he was dead, like almost immediately, as soon in that one episode.
But if you sort of like believe in, Rick's vision, which is, a return to civilization, putting Negan in jail actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes. And he did come full circle. He was old man Rick by the time, full white beard. So I'm thinking that those were just flash forwards that we saw in
right. So when we start up anew, we are in that timeline.
But Carl was in them.
I thought it was all from Carl's point of view.
No,
was he in
wasn't
them?
the original flash forwards when that Weird Al song kept playing?
Weird Al song? Wait, did I miss that episode?
Yeah, it kept playing like the wheels on the bus, but it was... Am I making this up? Nobody remembers this, and like he had a cane.
Are you talking about when he was in the hospital bed?
No, he was woke up in Alexandria and he had a cane and Judith was there and Carl and Michonne, and then he walked out into the garden and there was a Wheels on the Bus song playing.
I don't think that was a future, a fast forward look.
Nobody remembers this?
I do remember that.
Now that you mention it, I do.
Yes.
Kind of.
But I don't think that was like a fast forward type of flash thing. I think that was him just envisioning, looking forward towards the future and how it can be. I don't think it was a sneak peek into, what can happen.
Oh, I saw it as a time jump.
I think it was. I got the. I mean, I don't know how they wrote off Carl. If this was like premeditated going into the season, but it felt like somewhere along the line they had that time jump and they used it not necessarily as a time jump, but as like, it was all like Carl's fevered dream of what could be, kind of a thing, like his dream of, the society that they can set up and put aside their differences and be better than who and what they are right now.
Yeah, it would have been helpful if they came back to that in the last scene. So it kind of
There's a
explain
dying
it a little
cat
bit
in their
more.
house.
What?
All I hear is a cat crying.
I think that was Jim.
Oh.
So yeah, it was definitely something, that's for sure.
But we also lost Morgan, correct? Did we lose him?
Yeah, I think he's
one of the more
on.
enigmatic characters in the last season or two.
Yeah, and I think he's just moved on to.
They didn't really
Fear.
show him leaving. He just kind of stayed at the trash place.
Right, he just handed his gear over to Carol and said, "Give it to the kid," and
I think he outgrew it.
Has anybody watched Fear, the season premiere?
I have not.
Nope.
There's some crickets. Put the crickets in.
Because you will know what happened to Morgan if you watch that. It's literally they pick up in the trash heap.
Huh.
The opening.
Okay, so it's not like a time jump where we were curious if it was going to like just pick up time wise, or if it was going to go back and fill in that hole before he reunited with Rick. And
it doesn't.
This is all live now. Okay,
you're still on. There was a time jump from Fear, but yeah, it's not a time jump from the end of Walking Dead. It picks it up right after.
Gotcha. Okay.
And and I would like at this point to air some grievances in general with The Walking Dead. I love the show, but don't get me wrong, we all love the show. That's why we watch it. But I do have some grievances with The Walking Dead, and maybe you guys will agree with me. In the last few episodes, when Negan's gang, when the Saviors were getting ready to launch their final assault, and they were dipping their weapons in the zombie guts.
Mm-hmm.
So with the sole purpose of infecting everybody, which they did to anybody they cut up or sliced and didn't kill. But throughout the entirety of the show, you can rub zombie guts on yourself.
Right. Nick
from Fear the Walking Dead munches on a corpse of a dog that's just been eaten by zombies. You have a feeling that you've got open wounds at any given time in the apocalypse, right? Rick definitely does. His knuckles are always taped because he's punching somebody, every other episode. So, and he's always there spreading zombie guts, and they don't get killed. They don't get the I don't want to say infected because everybody's infected. If you get bit, you die. That's the rule of this world, and they don't play by their own rules.
No, it's a convenient plot device.
That's true.
So, it's not like I want reality in my zombie shows, but I would like some plausibility. That's all I ask.
Consistency.
Consistency.
Right. You set the rules of the universe, stick with them.
And does anybody else remember Flight 462? Like 16 to 20 episodes that you had to suffer through when everybody was still interested in Fear the Walking Dead. And it's that plane that on the opening days of the zombie outbreak, it's the plane that gets into trouble, and a zombie, somebody dies on board, and the zombie comes back to life. And are they flying to Phoenix? They're flying to somewhere to Arizona, and they're trying to give the impression that riots are happening simultaneously across the United States.
While they're in the air,
breaks down in one night. So it happens from the same time, at the same time as it does in California, as it does in Arizona. So it's just that kind of bugged me as well. You would think that everything would kind of happen gradually instead of all at once. Like as if the zombies are taking over Con Ed everywhere, taking the lights down and everything else. Like it's a plot, which I think in reality it would kind of happen more gradually, and like you would have more news about it. And that's kind of what was lacking with Fear for me, that they promised that you would see the beginnings of the outbreak, and you did for a second, but you never really got any speculation as to what was happening or anything like that. It just, there was a time jump in the beginning of the show, and they went from kind of where it was starting to happen to where it's happened. And nothing was ever explained. And that was kind of very disappointing as well for me.
Interesting.
So you're thinking it should have followed more like World War Z, where it was, I'm talking the book now, not the movie, where it starts a little bit more gradually.
Yes, and give us some, maybe theories, not maybe the explanation of what was happening, but at least some theories, or at least some newscasts of people saying the dead are coming back to life.
Throw some Brad Pitt in there and you're good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
And also, one more thing.
And another thing. You're like the old man.
I think they filmed this show on the same back road for every single episode. And all their wanderings.
How have they not come into a Walmart?
I know. No gas station, no Walmart, no houses. It's
no Wawas, no
like,
Piggly Wigglies.
Yeah, their world didn't get a whole lot bigger. I just see forests.
I think Zombieland was a little more realistic than that in that regard.
Blame it on the GIMP.
And you'll never see these points raised on Talking Dead. They're just throwing all those guests off.
Oh man, you're throwing your boy Chris under the bus now.
Chris should get us on Talking Dead. Then we can throw down. Then he can defend his beloved show.
At Chris Hardwick, listen to this episode.
That's a paycheck, my friend.
This is true. This is true.
Anyways, let's move on to our next point here. We have the Avengers Infinity War trailer. Dun dun dun.
Speculation.
When you guys, when everyone's listening to this, everyone's going to be listening to this. Hopefully on Wednesday, April 25th.
2 days.
The show comes out this Friday, or in some movie theaters the night before.
Thursday. I think Thursday. Yeah, they don't even do midnight showings anymore. It's like 7 p.m.
It's like how Black Friday used to be like at midnight, and now it's at like the middle of Thanksgiving Day.
So if you're binging these episodes, this is episode 3. Episode 4 is going to be all about Infinity War.
Oh yeah. What's everybody's take on it?
I'm going to throw it out. I'm going to throw it out to Jim and to Mike because these are two of the most spoiler-phobic gentlemen I've ever come across. And I know going into this, they were very apprehensive. They did not want to know. They did not want to know anything, and they did a damn good job of staying spoilers free until we decided to discuss this. So,
I mean, I think for me, it's 2.5 hours, and they have to get a ton of characters into it. So the thing that I'm most looking forward to, and you see some of it in the trailers, is that they are bringing in a lot of the characters.
All of them.
All of them.
Okay.
I think the only people you haven't seen in the trailer are Ant-Man and Hawkeye. Read into that what you will. So, I mean, I'm just looking forward to the movie because I'm all about just the entertainment and just like letting it wash over me. I don't think that there was really anything in the trailers that, I would consider a spoiler. Having some familiarity with the background of Thanos and, his desire to wipe out half of all the beings in the galaxy sort of thing. So just looking forward to it. He's like a galactic house cleaner.
So I would like Infinity War if there's 2 parts, right? It's going to be part 1, part 2 over the course of 2 years.
Yeah.
I would love it if the first film had the heroes and Thanos going on a mad dash for the last Infinity Stone that we haven't seen yet. And then maybe at the end, Thanos finds it, the dramatic ending, and then you're like, what's next? And that would lead into the second movie.
Interesting. I actually think it may actually be the opposite, which is he acquires all of the stones except for the last one, which leads into the second movie. Because at this point, we don't know where the last stone is. The soul stone, I think, is the soul stone that we have not been privy to as far as where it exists or who has it or is in possession of it.
Yeah. There is speculation it's in Wakanda.
I mean, based on the trailer, I mean, it looks like he's going there.
Right. So, and they haven't even figured out, with the exception of Thor, I think, what this all could mean.
Right.
So this is going to be like a schooling kind of a movie for our heroes once the Guardians and Thor make it back to Earth.
Well, we also know that this is the culmination of everything they've been building up for the last 18 movies. So there is a fair amount of cleaning house. We do know that certain actors after this movie will no longer have contracts.
Captain.
So, who do we think's on the chopping block? Who is in the Deadpool?
I'm pretty sure I heard that Chris Evans is done.
Captain America makes perfect sense to me. We all know that, in the comics, Winter Soldier steps up and takes over the shield. I believe that if you look up contracts, the actor who plays Bucky has like another 4 movies in his contract. So Tony Stark, I mean, the guy's been here,
Well, he's been threatening to leave for.
But he's been the main character from day one. A lot of these guys, again, what's that, 2008? So you're talking 10 years of your life. Watch the trailer, and it makes sense. You're like, all right, well, the Vision doesn't exist without this stone in his head.
Right.
So, but I think that that's a red herring. That's my take, which is, who's his girlfriend? The Scarlet Witch. What is her power? Improbability. I mean, I don't know. In the comic books, right? Her power is kind of this improbability. She can kind of create things that may or may not happen. She can control. So what is it to say that she doesn't will him back to life with the stone? Convince him that he doesn't need the stone to exist.
Interesting.
I think that the Vision getting taken out is a red herring. I think that he does survive. Hawkeye not showing up in the trailers, I think that's also a red herring.
Didn't Hawkeye retire to his family? Didn't they do that at the end of the last Avengers?
Well, that's the other thing too, right? They set up in Civil War. You see his family, you see all this. So to just turn around and take him out, I think is counterproductive to what they established.
If Cap were to be taken out, if Chris is indeed done, and if they kill off Cap, that would be an explosive finale, maybe to the first movie. That would end it on a what the kind of a moment, like Aunt May at the end of Homecoming. So
there you go.
That's what the collective audience will be saying that, just like Aunt May.
Yeah.
So I think that would be that. If Chris is going to do it, they should do it like this. They should build up one of these movies. If Chris is not coming back,
right?
I say Chris as if I know him.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Evans.
So we're eating lunch
Mike
together.
Is related.
Yeah, Mike's related to him.
Yeah. The only other speculation I have, which is, so right now we've touched on all the good guys being taken out. The only other one that I will say that I think maybe has run his course is Loki. Loki's had that damn Tesseract in his possession on and off since day one of these movies. We do know at the end of Ragnarok, he is again once in possession of this stuff, and they come bam straight into Thanos' ship. Yep. I think that he's first to go. Now, it doesn't mean he doesn't come back because, as we know, they are Asgardian.
Yeah, and what happens to the rest of the Asgardians? Because we see in the trailer Thor floating in space as if the ship has been destroyed. So what would that mean for the rest of the
maybe they all floated to Norway. They all floated to Norway.
Look, I mean, the way I look at it, nobody dies in the Marvel universe.
No, we know that for a fact. But in the cinematic universe,
nobody dies.
No, that's true. That's true. Bucky came back.
And what was Thor hoping to do with the Asgardians? Do you think that we would just welcome them with open arms? Take this tract of land here. You can live,
We're not using that.
Yeah. It's get lost. We got no.
Where's your visa?
I mean, if you're going to take someone out, it's got to be like Wong, Doctor Strange's manservant. That's my
something
money.
Inconsequential. You're
we didn't really
Beyonce,
right?
Yeah. So
I don't know. Go ahead, Dave.
So needless to say, though, we are all very excited about it. We are all very excited to see this movie. Can't wait for it to come out. And if you guys see the Avengers Infinity War trailer, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. Let us know what your guys think of it. And, we'll answer some questions if you have some and do all that. That's great.
Oh, wait. So, no, I have one more speculation.
Go for it.
Which is the end of this movie. So you got to build up to the second part. The second part is got to be just phenomenal. Mm-hmm. You got to have such a catalyst. I truly believe that the second part will be the only way you're gonna beat Thanos is to go galactic, to and bring in not Earth's mightiest heroes, but somebody outside who has more firepower and capabilities. Who or what that is, I have no idea. But I think that they're going to have to employ somebody great.
Interesting.
That's all.
What, you mean like a Silver Surfer or like an arch villain like Galactus or something like a...
Well, they've already introduced Nova Corps, so maybe Nova or something to that effect.
Nova, but you also have. I mean, we were teased with Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock, yes.
Adam Warlock. You were I mean, did we not get a taste of the Celestials as well in? Was it Doctor Strange?
And also Guardians.
Guardians. It was Guardians. I just feel that this is Earth defending Earth, but now Thanos is threatening. I mean, not just Earth; he's threatening like the entire galaxy. Right. So,
yeah, the Guardians of Galaxy are in this movie, aren't they?
Yes,
they are indeed. I just think that stakes are higher, so you're going to have to call in bigger firepower. That's all. That's a
good thought.
My speculation. That's all it is.
That's a good thought. So, all right,
and there you go. On that note,
there's everybody's thoughts on Infinity War. So, like I said, if you guys see it, let us know what you guys thought of the movie. And if you have any questions, shout them out to us, and we'll answer them here on our next episode. So,
there you go.
Moving on. Everybody watched the classic feature for the week.
Yes, we did.
That was the Super Mario, the original.
That was payback for Close Encounters.
Oh,
yeah. Payback.
Tell us how you really feel, Danielle, because you weren't here last week with us.
I would rather go to the gynecologist than watch that movie again.
Wow. I think that's actually what the aliens did. I think that Richard Dreyfuss probably,
Okay, for those for some reason, if you're listening to episode 3 before the other two, what we're referring to is our classic feature. Last week it was Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and most of us were not so kind to it in hindsight.
So Close Encounters of Not So Kind.
Of the not so kind, yes.
Not so kind.
Danielle.
And then I was like, maybe this kid could have grown up to be an attractive, successful actor. And I IMDb him, and he's like this nerdy old man. So like, there wasn't even that to look forward to.
That probably looks like an old 4-year-old, right?
Yeah, his face stayed exactly the same, just aged.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
The kid. What was his name?
Oh, the little kid.
Barry.
Barry. Well, we got sidetracked more about the bad parenting that went on in that movie, but that's go back and listen.
So this is one of our features. We take a classic movie, we watch it, during the week.
So let's say classic loosely.
Yeah, loosely.
Well, classic meaning old. I'd like, so maybe not classic with.
But it's classic to one of us. Let's put it that way.
Yes. Each of us will pick out a
movie that's near and dear. May not be highly revered, but that's part of the fun.
That's right. So
week,
what was everybody's take?
It was Dave's choice,
and that was the original Super Mario Brothers with John Leguizamo and all those guys.
Bob Hoskins.
Yes, and
Bob
that's
Hoskins.
Right.
And Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper.
This is a star-studded film by all accounts.
there was actually a fair amount of names that popped up in the credits that I had to go back. I'm like, holy crap, I didn't even know that.
It also has Samantha Mathis as Princess Daisy, who, for anybody who's watched The Strain.
I was just going to ask you if you caught on to that, Jim.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I saw, I recognized her right away. And also it has Aunt Petunia from the Harry Potter movies.
Oh,
Vernon, Aunt Petunia.
Mm-hmm.
She was Dennis Hopper's femme fatale there.
Oh, see, I picked up on the Lance Hendrickson little 2-second cameo. I'm like, wow. Yeah. And Dan Castellanetto, Homer Simpson himself, did the opening animation voiceover.
You did? I missed that.
And Frank Welker did all of the character voices. Mr. Scooby-Doo himself.
So I did some research on Super Mario. 1993, it was released.
Yep.
It cost $48 million to be made. It made $20 million.
Wasted.
And it's very underappreciated. It's only got a 15% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Nobody understands the greatness of the film.
And you see, I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was entertaining, and I did not have my hopes up, but I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Expectations are low. That's usually a good.
Yeah, I watched it with my son, and he enjoyed it as well.
See, so that's what matters. I mean, he's coming in fresh. I want to get David's take on this because I know that it was his choice. So obviously, it meant something to him. Obviously, you are a couple years younger than us. as well.
Yeah. Are you expecting me to just start talking here, or was there a question behind that? I don't know.
No, there was no real question. I really wanted to get your take on it. I have my own thoughts and points and
not to speak for David, but the way that I look at it is we grew up in the video game era, the 90s. Yep. That's when Super Nintendo, Duck Hunt, Super Mario Brothers, everything was so big. And I think it was one of the first times that they did a movie adaptation of a video game.
Yeah, you're right.
So
it was, I think, the very
see your
first.
favorite characters come to life, and like, agree or not, they did incorporate every single thing. Toad was in it. Princess, you can assume Daisy's mom was Peach. And then Yoshi was there. And then, you had the Goombas and, Koopa Troopers. And
okay,
like,
so it all worked for
bombs,
you.
And then the little cartridges.
That was like straight up out of the video game.
The cartridges they put into the shoes to make them blast are the bullet cartridges that Mario always had to jump over.
Yeah,
So they got every piece of the video game. They just made it their own. So like, yeah, it probably wasn't done very well, but they did take the game as they could for copyright reasons, I'm sure, and did what they could with it. And it was just entertaining, man. Trust the fungus.
Trust the fungus. Nice. I have that as a quote. I love it.
You could tell that they really tried hard to take every aspect of the game and make it into a narrative, like with the fungus, the mushrooms, everything else. And it was
I kind of feel the opposite, which is they took everything that was fun about the game and just
ruined it
to the wayside. You know what this reminded me of, Jim and Mike, was Masters of the Universe. When are you too familiar,
no.
David and Danielle? Masters of the Universe, He-Man.
Oh, yeah. I know.
They came out with a live-action He-Man movie. Now, Eternia, you got Castle Grayskull, you got the Battle Cat, you've got Skeletor, you got all these great visuals. Just like Mario Brothers, you've got all these different levels and all these cool things that the characters are doing. And they threw it all away by implanting it in the real world. And I just felt that, I don't know, Bob Hoskins was just angry. He was angry through this whole movie.
He's always angry.
But Mario's not angry. I'm Mario. Hey, he's a happy
They made
guy.
Luigi the fun one. Normally, nobody cares about Luigi.
Well, Luigi was, that was like the highlight of Leguizamo's career. So let's just put it at that.
It did seem at the end of the movie they were gearing up for it to run into what the game is, like just the way it ended when.
Right. I love the fact that they were so optimistic that there was going to be a sequel. They just I would have suffering through this. I would have loved to have seen a sequel to see where they went with it.
They were probably waiting to see how much money they made, and then they were too poor to do another one.
Right. Meanwhile, neither of these guys were actually Italian. Right.
Yeah. You see, and as an Italian American, I didn't really know what to think of like the Goombas, because usually it's
a stereotype
these days, or a stereotype. and Dennis Hopper's line, "Muster the Goombas." I think that they really wanted that to catch on, but it didn't quite. They were probably envisioning T-shirts with "Muster the Goombas."
We should make shirts.
Yeah.
Mike, any thoughts?
Oh, it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen, but
that's a rave review.
Yeah, it's right at the bottom. I mean, if it wasn't for Yoshi the dinosaur,
they didn't even get his color right.
I would have totally been lost. And I was just like, at the end when they said, the princess comes in and she's looking for the help again, and it could be a sequel. I'm like, that's never ever gonna happen.
I was very optimistic at that point. I'm like, all right, I might say for a sequel.
When you watch it with a kid and he's enjoying it, at least you're not watching, Amazing World of Gumball for the umpteenth
we're just
time.
There you go. We're just bitter old men who are ripping on this.
I mean, I would say that this movie is why I support the legalization of pot.
Fun fact on Mike Evans.
Post-credit scene. There was probably one of the first post-credit scenes.
I didn't see it through the credits.
Yeah, I didn't make it that far.
I missed it. I didn't realize it.
Which is another tie-in to Masters of the Universe, which also had a post-credit scene.
Well, now I'm intrigued because I missed it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go back and look for it.
No, but if Jim could explain it to us, I'd be very happy.
It was just the two inept Fisher Stevens and the other guy. What were their character names? I forget.
Oh, Spike and yeah, he was another. I don't know.
They were talking about like, let's make a video game out of this. Like, let's not call it Super Mario Brothers. Let's call it like the Spike and so. And that was it. That was the whole post-credit sequence.
Yeah. So
that was a terrible recap of it, but I'm sorry that nobody else watched it.
No, I missed it. Once that credit rolled, I was like out. It took me almost a solid week to watch this movie, by the way.
And I never would think that Super Mario Brothers would make me feel poignant, but it had nobody mentioned that the World Trade Center was the headquarters of Koopa.
There you go. 93 it was, right? You said it came out?
93 it came out.
So I will just end my tirade here by saying that Nintendo Power Magazine actually banned the discussion of this movie in their book for years. You weren't allowed to bring it up, so I thought that was wait a minute. Mario Brothers, their last name is Mario. He's Mario.
Yes.
I don't know if that's true in the video games, but at least in the movie it is.
In the movie, well, why would you be called Mario Brothers if only one of you is named Mario?
Well, if it's Mario Brothers, they're brothers, and their last name's Mario, right? Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, but that makes his name Mario.
Yeah,
that's right. Evil parents.
That's just how they did it back then. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyways,
soundtrack was good.
Yeah,
you had some Divinyls. You had Walk the Dinosaur in there.
You had Love Is the Drug. They did a cover of a Roxy Music song.
Yes, yeah. So you can't, it was fun. It was a fun movie. I don't think, like you said, it was the first adaptation of a video game movie. I think obviously they've never gone back to try and make another one.
I think they
lots
are,
of
though.
Cleavage in this movie too.
Oh my God, when he went down on Red Fish or whatever that
Big Bertha.
Big Bertha? Oh, is it? But wasn't she like? But in the video game, she's like a fish, right?
I think you are
like
correct.
A big mouth bass thing.
The spiky fish. You are right.
He goes right into that cleavage. That's a straight up
motorboat.
That's some fun kid fare right there.
And speaking of cleavage, should we go into our confessional question now? Is that a good segue?
Yes.
That, my friend, is what we call segue.
Let's do it.
Confessionals.
Okay. Everybody here, the confessional for the week is their cinematic crush. Not sure how far we'll take this back, but first, before we get into the cinematic crush, since Danielle and Mike were not with us last week for our confessional, which was their favorite movie. Mike, are you prepared to answer this one? What is your all-time favorite movie? I know it's hard, but you can do it.
That's what she said.
Hey, family friendly.
I don't know if I can because, as time moves on, it's, what's currently your favorite movie versus your sort of favorite movie of all time. Just pick one. Okay. Okay. Well, it's Super Mario Brothers. I think for me, it's when I'm looking forward to a movie and they don't ruin it, So Avengers, which was good, Star Wars, obviously good, but one I thought that they were really going to screw up was Fellowship of the Rings or Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship, and they didn't. So I'm going to put that up at the top.
Interesting.
And it's one of those movies that when it comes on, I'll generally watch it. And you have to take that in the context that says, whenever Armageddon comes on, I watch that.
Right.
So I don't know if that's, the bar that you want to measure this all by.
It's your bar.
Yeah,
But it doesn't have to be high art, man. It's just, something that speaks to you.
Yeah.
But I think
Fellowship is not a bad.
I think that's an awesome movie, and that's a great choice.
Now are we leaning toward the theatrical version or the director's cut? Because you got about a 2-hour difference.
I think I'll go theatrical.
Really? I will never watch the theatrical again once I've seen the director's cut.
Agreed.
Oh, my turn.
Get it.
Well, I'm just going to go for it. Judge me if you will. Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls.
Oh,
That got brought up
even
last
the
week.
Original, a sequel.
That actually got brought up last week.
I
because...
have every single word to that movie memorized. I can't watch it without saying the words to it. I quote it daily still. You know, me and my dad call everyone who's it hers. You know what I mean? Like, it's just my entire childhood.
Hi-ho, Silva!
In a cinematic. Every time there's a shot, I'll pinch nipples. I'll talk through my butt, man. Like, it's just.
I asked you a question.
Yeah.
That is cinematic gold in my mind.
Yeah. How did Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls come up last week? I know we did discuss it at some point.
I was gonna say because I was the one that mentioned the movie Liar Liar, which was Jim Carrey's movie.
Oh,
well.
yes.
And how I can cite that whole movie probably. And then Jim was like, "Oh, but what about Ace Ventura? You know, that was a good Jim Carrey movie too." And sure enough, look what she just said. How about that?
There you go.
Yeah.
So.
I love the line,
Pulled that right
who
out
do you think you are, HR, shoving stuff?
Yep.
So.
Greenwald, hit the lights.
Anyways.
But close second.
Such a good one.
Close second to that one is...
the rhino.
Yes. Close second to that one is the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Ooh, good choice.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's an awesome choice.
Yep.
That was a good one. So, anyways, back to this week's now that we're all caught up. We got this week's cinematic crush. I'm going to throw it to Jim. Jim, who is your cinematic crush?
This is easy. My first cinematic crush that made me feel feelings, as they say.
Tickly feelings?
Was Jessica Lange in King Kong.
Oh, 1976?
Yes.
Yep.
Which may be one of our homework assignments coming up in the coming weeks.
Saw that coming.
But the reason being is that she had the Fay Wray role in the 76 version.
Dwan.
She was the girl in the hand. She was the girl in hand of King Kong throughout the film. But she was very much kind of a dippy character, an airhead. So for a long time, I think that's what people thought. That's who they thought Jessica Lange was until she went on to win Academy Awards. But I think as a kid watching it, because it came out when I was 6, and it was on HBO a year later, so I was probably 7 when I first saw it. Because that she was so ditzy, it was kind of like she was a kid, the character. So I really related to her as a kid, and she was, amazingly gorgeous as well. And there was that whole scene where Kong
undresses her.
The undresses her with
that's some titillating monkey action going on.
And they show it was a PG movie, and they showed that during the day on HBO. Your parents have no idea what you're watching.
That's right.
And it's just like, oh.
Was the fact that she went up on the deck too during while the rest of the people on the boat were watching Deep Throat.
Yes.
So
and I had no idea what that joke was.
None of us knew what Deep Throat was.
Yeah, Deep Throat saved her life. It was the joke because she refused to watch it when her boat exploded.
Yes.
But yeah, no, mine was Jessica Lange, King Kong.
Right. Nice, good call, man. I like that.
You watch her in American Horror Story now, Jim?
Yes, she doesn't look quite the same.
They never do, my friend.
Who would like to go next?
I want to hear Mike.
Mike Evans.
Mine, I think no one's going to know this, and she's been in very few films, so I'll probably have to give you 2 so that someone listening to this podcast could sort of relate. But mine was Catherine Bell, who was on a TV show called Jag. And that was my...
Yes.
We have a yes out there?
We have a yes. He quickly Googled it.
But the other one that I sort of was thinking about, and it's similar to Jim's story because, sort of grew up together, which is Jodie Foster, who was in Bad News Bears, and then kind of like moved on from there. And it's, developed into the Jodie Foster from Contact, sort of that, really driven science hot girl who's following her dreams.
She was in Bruce Almighty.
Bad News Bears, she was very much a tomboy.
Yes, she was.
Yes, indeed.
I know her from Bruce Almighty.
How about Nell? Let's even go Nell. One of my favorite Jodie. But Contact is high on my list as one of my favorite movies as well.
So Jeff, continue it.
So I will go down the road that Mike said, which is this was an absolute no-brainer. The minute this question came up, I knew exactly who I was going to talk about. I went to my library, I rented the movie and watched it yet again, and still had those same feelings. But unfortunately, I'm no longer 7 years old, so I'm now watching a 20-year-old as a 50-year-old, and that's creepy. But we're going to go 1969. It is a John Wayne, Glenn Campbell classic known as True Grit. And if you're familiar with the remake a couple years ago, but the girl, her name was Kim Darby. She played a character called Maddie Ross. Her father was murdered, and she seeks out and hires Rooster Cogburn, also John Wayne, to avenge and kill the man who killed her father. And she was very much a tomboy, the page haircut with the bowl hat, very androgynous. She was very sassy. But I used to watch Westerns with my grandpa. I never saw this in a movie theater. Obviously, it was something I watched on TV. But yeah, it stirred up some serious emotions in me, things I didn't know what were going on at the time. But I looked her up online, and she's gone on to Star Trek. She was in an episode of Star Trek, Miri, Better Off Dead, Teen Wolf 2. So she's had a bit of a career, but that initial movie blew my mind. She made things magical for me. And at the end of the movie, she falls into a pit with rattlesnakes, and I really wanted to save her. So there you go. And now to Dave.
Awesome. Man. So mine obviously doesn't take place back in 1969 or anything because I'm much younger than you guys. But every time the pool scene came up from the movie The Sandlot, and you have Wendy Peppercorn, the lifeguard, that was like probably like, you know, you're like, all right, here comes the best scene of the movie. You know what I mean? And you know, Squints, goes in there and pretends to drown, and she just so throws off her glasses and off to the side and everything, and her whistle. Is that
why
you're
with me?
Why?
Because I have glasses.
No,
it is all about the glasses.
But yeah, that was definitely one of mine.
Nice
back then, when you were younger.
When you said pool scene, I thought you were going with Fast Times at Ridgemont
Correct.
High.
Then immediately realized his age and knew that was not.
That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Phoebe Cates, yeah.
Danielle. I know this one.
Well, maybe not.
Oh.
Curveball.
Nice.
Jack Skellington. I'm not even kidding you.
That's a fictional character.
It made me question things that I shouldn't be questioning.
He was very androgynous.
I was so attracted to him. I can't even explain how or why. But in terms of the human world, it was Johnny Depp.
In the human world. So if you had to choose the two.
Jack Skellington.
Jack Skellington. He could take his head off too.
I'm sure he doesn't abuse his wife.
Jesus. Anyway,
he appreciated Sally. Even though she was
loved her so much. No, yes, I was obsessed with Johnny Depp, Pirates of the Caribbean, Crybaby, everything.
We all were.
Edward Scissorhands.
I'll go even deeper than that. I'll go What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Oh my God, yes.
Gilbert.
Match in the gas tank. Boom, boom.
Great. That may be one of my choice movies one day because that is a
What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Underappreciated. And my love for Mary Steenburgen comes from that movie as well.
Leo, man. Leo.
Well, he killed it.
He did.
Yep.
Absolutely killed it in that movie.
He was nominated for that movie.
Yes.
Why can't we watch that instead of watching Mario Brothers?
I just said that maybe that's on my list. Potential.
So Jim, you want to let our listeners know what's in store for next week for our confessional?
Yes, actually, have we discussed what's in store next week for our confessional?
I thought we did.
I confess that I have no confessions on.
Jim, if you'd like to let us know what's on for next week, that would be great.
No, because this was my suggestion. The your first cinematic crush. So I'm not sure what's next for next week for our confession.
We had a list. I had a list. I don't know.
But while we're killing time looking for this, we can actually announce what our classic feature is. If somebody would like to reveal that, because maybe our listeners would like to watch up as well before the next episode, so
that's a good point. I like the fact that they can kind of.
I think we were going with Danielle on with next week's choice. So Danielle, why don't you let us know what we're going to be reviewing
for next week's classic feature? It's a Mel Brooks classic known as Robin Hood Men in Tights. And for all you people, throwback to Dave Chappelle in there. He had his major debut. He was Achoo. No, a sneeze. No, a sneeze is his father. He's Achoo.
Well, you'd have to watch it to find out, folks, if you don't know what she's talking about.
I don't know what she's talking about.
Have you ever seen the movie?
I have, but I guess it didn't stick with me.
He pumps up his sneakers. It's Dave Chappelle.
Okay, all right.
Oh my God.
No, that's fine. But
I haven't seen this. So
is this not why we're doing these? Which is
yes.
All right.
This is why all of us with all of our likes and dislikes.
So
okay, I have a confessional question. I'm going to throw it out.
Do it.
Are you ready? Okay, name one movie you have never seen, but pretend you have.
Oh.
Whether it's a highly popular film that everybody loves.
I can answer that right now.
Save it.
Either pretend you like it or just don't engage in a conversation.
So if you're in a conversation, if somebody says, "Oh, you've seen that," you just nod, yeah, and then kind of try to change the subject.
Avoid the conversation.
Avoid the conversation. So,
all right. So
there you go.
If all our listeners would like to answer these questions themselves on our Facebook page, please feel free. Share with us what your likes are or dislikes.
That's right. Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, hit us up everywhere on there. You guys will hear all of our social media accounts. So follow us, subscribe, all that jazz. Anyways, I think that's about all we have for you guys.
Ranger has to go to school.
Yeah, the dog's got to go. But hey guys, this is the final one we're doing before we put it out to the crowd. So we hope everybody enjoys it. Hope everyone continues to listen and
engage, jump online, social media.
Yes, we are all here. Us 5 nerds. Nerds. So
powerful nerds, are they?
Nice. That's good. Anyways, guys, thanks again for coming on, and can't wait to talk episode 4 and watch the Avengers Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Woo! Long time coming.
This is it. That's right. We will we'll see everybody next week.
Sounds good.
See you guys.
Oh, goodbye.
Peace.